Hi, thank you for clicking on this video and welcome to episode 16 of my Arduino tutorials. In today's video, we'll be learning to program the common cathode and common anode RGB LEDs using the setColor function, which honestly makes everything much easier. Without much further ado, let's get straight into it. Alright, open up your Arduino IDE and then above the void setup, you need to set up a different kind of you just add up to the scale. You see, in the void, we have void setup, we have this void setup here. Let me select a void setup, and then we have the void loop. Well, we are going to create something else called the void, sorry, 10 of cups and void. What am I doing? Sorry, void set color. Yep, so you're going to set this up. Get the same way we have the void setup and then the void loop. We have void setup here. And in the void set color, in this bracket, not the curly bracket, in this bracket. All right, we don't normally write in there, but in this, with this type, you're going to write in these normal parentheses. You go in there and then you put an int. You set an int for red. You put a comma. You set an int for green, you put a comma, and then you set an integer for blue. This is the way we'll be writing our code in the void loop, and we need to set it up so that whatever we put here would represent red, whatever we put here stands for the green, and whatever we put here stands for the blue. You understand when we get in the void loop. Let's continue. Now in the curly brackets, you put an analog write. Wait, before I even start writing into the analog write, let me come above it and let me set up the pins we are connected to. Our red pin is connected to pin 3. You can also connect yours to your Arduino like this. My red pin is connected to pin 3. My green pin is connected to pin 5, and my blue pin is connected to pin 6. Make sure that you are connected to pins which have the pulse width modulation feature. To be able to know which pins have the pulse width modulation feature, look for pins which have the wavy line, or the wavy line, that kind of line. That's what you need. So now that I've set them up, or I've set them all up like this, let me go back into the curly brackets where I was writing my analog write, and I'm going to analog write to red pen first. And what am I analog writing to red pen? I'm going to analog write. Normally we use the 0 to 255 range. Remember that we use the 0 to 255 range to analog write. But this time we want whatever value we place for red to be analog written to our red pen. And it might be a bit confusing, but once we start using this in the void loop, you are going to understand. But still, now we're going to write red to red pen. We're going to analog write green to the green pen, and then blue to the blue pen. So analog write to blue pen, we analog write blue. Alright, and then I end it. So you can see the way I've gone about writing it. And then we first set up the void setup. A void set color, not void setup. This is the void setup. Writing void set color. And then in the brackets, we don't normally write in these brackets, but then this time we put this in this bracket. an integer. We create an integer for red, another integer for green, and then an integer for blue. And then in the curly brackets, we analog write the we analog write the red pen, and what we analog write to the red pen is the integer we created, that's red. And then to the green pin, we analog write the integer green, and to the blue pin, we analog write the integer blue. But then right now, these integers are empty because we've not attached any value to these integers. So then they're basically empty. Now we come into the actual code part. In the void setup, we use the pin mode to set up our various pins. Red pin as an output, and then we'll do the rest the same for the rest of them. Let me just copy and paste. So we have red pin, then green pin, and then blue pin. Now we come to the void loop, and in the void loop, well, this is where we use the set color, and then you understand more now. In here, we type out set color, and we'll bring a bracket. Don't forget to end it with your semicolon. In the bracket, you basically follow this format. So first of all, we set an integer for red, and our integer for red, if we wanted it to come on, we'd have to set it to 255, and then we bring a comma. The next is an integer for green. What for green? Let's make green be off, comma, and the last one an integer for blue. We also want blue to be off, so then 0 for blue also. Yep, and now we have now over here red alone will be on. If we want the other ones to come on, we have to use the set color again. But before that, let me set a delay wait. Let me create an integer which I'll name wait, and that's going to delay the code for 1 second, which is 1000 milliseconds. To delay wait, you're going to turn red on for 1 second, and then what do we want again? We want blue to come on next. Let me paste, change the first one to 0, and then the blue is the third value. So I think no wait, we want green rather to be on because RGB, red, green, blue. Let's make green come on next. So we change the second value to 255, and then what am I doing? And then we change the third value also to 255. Now, if we wanted to mix up colors, we could do that by making multiple values 255 or anything else apart from 0. When we set it to 0, it means it's going to be off. So then if I wanted maybe something like yellow, I'd have to make blue be on and then green also be on. So I'll change the second value to 255 because this second value is green. Remember that. That second value is what is green up here. It's green. The first value is red. Second value is green, and then comma, and then our third value is blue. It's following that same format. So then over here with green and blue on, we have yellow, and then if we wanted purple, we just make red, and then purple is red and blue, right? So red and then blue, which is the last one. 255. Yep, and then when you're done, you just upload your code. Let me connect my Arduino. I don't know if I actually don't have a common cathode RGB LED, but we can still check my code to make sure it's right. Where did I make a mistake? What was not declared? Oh, oh, over here I wrote green pin instead of green pin. Let's verify my code now. Yep, and now that you're done with your code, then you can upload and then it should work. It should work. Well, I don't have my common cathode RGB LED. So you guys leave me a comment so I know it really works for you. Or let's move on to the common anode RGB LED now. All right. Now to use the set color function to actually control the common anode RGB LED, we have to apply it a bit differently. If you've watched my previous videos about the RGB LED, you'd know with the common anode RGB LED, you have to actually make everything inverse. You have to switch it up a bit. On becomes off and off becomes on. So then if I wanted to turn something on, rather than putting in a 0, if I wanted to turn something on rather than putting in 255, I'd rather have to use a 0. That's how the common anode RGB LED works. And if I wanted to turn it off, I wouldn't use a 0, but I'd rather use a 255. It's the total opposite of the common cathode. Now, how would we actually write our code? Up here in the set color function, we come to our analog write function, and over here before we just wrote red to analog write red, the integer we use as red. But then this time, if we analog write the integer we use as red, it would be the opposite. And to actually make it easier for us to be able to write our code, do it this way. Rather than just putting in your red like that, put in a 255 minus red. So then it's not going to input red just the way it is. It's going to rather write this to your Arduino. It's going to analog write this to your red pen. 255 minus red. Now, why do you do it this way? You do it this way because you want the value you pick to come out as the inverse, because the inverse is what will give you a desired function. Let me say it like that. So imagine we wanted to turn the red pen off. If we wanted our LED to go off, we'd normally put a 0 here, right? A 0. But then with the analog write function, it's going to invert that and then make your 0 on instead of off. And we don't want that to happen. But then if we do it in this way, with the way it is right now, if I put in a 0 as red, 0 minus 255 minus 0 is 255. So it's going to write 255, and the opposite of 255 is 0. The opposite of on is off, which is 0. So then even though we put even though it's going to subtract from it, because it inverts this answer, our result is going to be what we actually want. So if I wanted it to come on at a brightness of maybe something like 100, I wanted it to come on at a brightness of 100, rather than having to actually go and then now think about doing calculations, I just put 100 here, and then 100 will be subtracted from 255, giving me 155, and it's going to write 155 to red pen, and the opposite of 155 is what? 100, and that's what we'd actually see. So we come to the green pen and we input the same thing, 255 minus green. We come to the blue pen, we input the same thing, 255 minus blue, which is going to give us what we want in the set color function. So now we come down here, and for red, if I wanted red to come on, now here is the thing, you don't have to think too deeply here in the set color function. This is going to take care of everything for you. What we've done here is going to take care of all the calculations for you. It's going to do the conversion for you. So in here, you can just do what you'd normally do. We're going to set color red. We want red to come on, so 255, rather than having to think about it in the inverse. Just put in what you want, 255. We want green to come on, green to be off, so green off, and then blue off. Now delay wait. Let me just copy and paste and then change for the others. So over here, I want green to be, I want red off and then green rather on. So I'll make green 255. And let me just show you. Since green is 255, over here it's going to write 255. So 255 minus 255 is 0. And zero's inverse is 255. 0 is off, and the opposite of off is on, which is our highest brightness, 255. So you're going to write 255, which is what we actually want. So then this is taking care of everything. Just make sure you put it in this way when you're using the set color function. It makes it so much easier. So we come here, and now we want blue to be on and red off. Red off, blue on. Okay. Yep, and I think that it's a red, green, blue, red, green, blue, red, green, blue. We upload our code and then we see what will happen. No, don't make sure your Arduino is connected first and then you upload your code. Let me just show you guys the result. Alright guys, I've uploaded a red, green, blue, red, green, blue, red, green, blue. Yep, it works. So then this is how you use the command anode RGB LED, and it's beautiful. If you guys have any other questions, let me know in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. Don't forget to check out my website, link in description. I leave notes on there so you can understand everything better. Well, I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a nice day.